So thank you all for joining us today. It's so nice to be able to gather again on such a beautiful day. For those that don't know, I'm Megan McGlinchey. I'm the Executive Director of the Riverfront Development Corporation, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to this distinguished location here in Wilmington. I know that right now it may not look like much, but I promise that in a few years, this lot and everything you see around us will set Wilmington apart with its vibrant, sustainable spaces, economic opportunities, and marriage of unique destination experiences with historic charm. Far from standing in an abandoned parking lot this morning, we gather in a central location for the new Riverfront East. Riverfront East represents the next chapter of revitalization along the entire Wilmington riverfront. With each phase of this evolving project, we will breathe life back into spaces that have sat idle for far too long, developing their full potential as resources that elevate quality of life and opportunity for the region. I am thrilled to have so many distinguished guests here today to walk you through the vision of Riverfront East and help build the story of what we will accomplish for our community and our state. But first, I would like to acknowledge our key players. Needless to say, a project of this size and potential impact on present and future generations. So you always have the wildlife chiming in. It's not an eagle, though, Matt. It's not the bald eagle. So from day one, RDC's partners have believed as strongly in Riverfront East vision as we have, and they have shown tremendous dedication in their time, ideas, expertise, and resources to help us plan and move forward. So on behalf of the RDC, I would like to thank the City of Wilmington, the State of Delaware and DelDOT, Land Collective, represented here today by David Rubin, RK&K Engineers, the project team of Bob Schaefer, Pat Martino, and Matt Kozik, Buccini Poland Group, Cedar Realty Trust, Brightfields, with their team of Kathy Stiller, Jenna Harwanko, and Craig Olson. And then finally, Robert A.M. Stern Architects, represented today by Megan McDermott, who is our fearless project leader. So thank you all. Please join me in giving these partners a round of applause. So now it's time to dive into what really makes Riverfront East historic and exciting. To start us off, I'm honored to introduce my predecessor, who served as the very first executive director of the RDC when it was formed 25 years ago. So please welcome the Mayor of Wilmington, Mike PURZYCKI.
Thank you, Meg. Thanks all of you for being here. I was thinking, what do I want to say here today? Well, there is so much to say, Tom Carper, right? So much to say. If I thought anybody would buy it, I'd write a book because it was just a marvelous story. I tell people all the time, when you walk around the riverfront, every 10 feet is a story. Every 10 feet is a story. Marion's nodding. You know, every 10 feet was a contaminated story. Right? I mean, so I think back over the years, and I can't help but look across how beautiful that is and think about all of what it took to get there. I remember when Mike Hare and I had to come down. I'm sitting at home with my son, and if you've ever seen U.S. Marshals, Wesley Snipes is he's swinging off the building to get on the train. Highly improbable, but he did it. And in the middle of the swing, the phone rings. I'm like, gee whiz, I'm home with my son, and it's Mayor, you better get down to the riverfront. The building is in flames. And that was the Juniper building we were building backstage. And we go down there, and there's the roof just totally engulfed in flames. And that's just one of the episodes that we had down there, which, you know, and of course it became backstage. Backstage closed. Norman called for my resignation after that. I mean, they're just one after another of these things. The shipyard shop story and what it took to build it, and the guy from Tennessee who came up and told us about this catalog concept, and we all bought it. And Verino Pettinero to this day said, Hey, you want to see that pro forma you showed me? I'm supposed to make all this money. How come I didn't make all this money? But I told him, here's how you're going to make all this money. So Verino, God love him, built that thing. And I think back to the Chase Center, when here's this big hulking mass of World War II building with transite siding, transite asbestos, and a dirt floor. And so Tom Carper calls and said, I want you to meet with a guy named Jim Broughton from Tennessee. He's got these great exhibits we want to bring to Wilmington. I said, well, I'll do that, Governor, but only if you let me bring him down to the riverfront. And he said, okay, whatever. So I met with him, and within about 2 or 3 months, I can't remember the whole story, but we had an agreement with Broughton. Now we had a building that we had to put him in, and we went to Verino Petinaro, said, can you build this thing? He said, yeah, I can build it. He built it in 6 months. In 6 months, that building went from dirt floors, garbage, to the beautiful building that it was, Desmond, who probably did all the HVAC in that building. But we got the building permit the day that we opened the place. That's how fast things went in those days. And then, of course, the opening of Nicholas and Alexander, 562,000 people visiting our city. So many stories. Kahunaville, Ahmed Amer, and Tom Carper was involved with most of them. But here's the story that I wanted to tell you. The story is we bring Charlie Cawley down here because in those days, whenever you wanted to do a big project, MBNA was always an indispensable player. And so we called Charlie Cawley, again, star of the show. Tom Carper and I are down here, and we walk over to where the cranes are across the way. And we said, look, we're going to put this here and this here and this here. It's going to be really great. We just need support. And I remember Charlie looking with a dour look across the river, and he said, what are you going to do about that? And across the river is junkyards and oil containers. And Peter Gordon just showed me a picture. But it says it all. I mean, it was like hell over here. It was terrible. He said it was tough enough to look at, rather than think about what it's going to be today. And this is kind of where we are here. And we bought land on a hunch. We had to work with ING Direct, and they were going to build a big campus. All of a sudden, they found another Plan B, and they abandoned that. And no time later, Buccini Poland builds the River Tower. We bought 8 acres over there. Everybody said, what the hell are you spending money on that for? And all of a sudden, we see the 76ers field house. We bought part of the assemblage across the way where ShopRite is. And it's all because a lot of people had vision and confidence in the future. So, you know, I think this is a testament in the end, everything we've done and everything we believe in, testament to not only Tom Carper, but every governor after who supported us, the members of the General Assembly who supported us, people you forget about, Patty Blevins, Roger, you know, a bunch of folks who really were behind us the whole way. And of course, you can't forget the mayor's involved, our city council member representing the legions of council members who supported us, Megan and Mike Hare, who were indispensable to our success. I think it demonstrates the power of public investment, the necessity of public investment, and of course the confidence of private investors as well. Let me tell you what I always tell people, and I tell people in the city all the time, every time people we have to talk about a project that people get nervous about. I said, remember something. Cities either grow or they die. They grow or they die. The power of investment is what's going to sustain us. And I'm eternally grateful for the many people who supported us over these years. And Megan, and I just know, she always makes me look bad because she does such a good job. But I just know that we're going to do a great job going forward. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Mayor. Now it's my pleasure to introduce Governor John CARNEY.
Thank you very much. Good morning. When I walked into the tent, the chairwoman of the board said to me, are we going to have an unveiling today? And I said, yeah, they're right here. She said, no, I mean of masks. We are in an outdoor space. It is safer in an outdoor space, and so you can take off your mask if you wish, particularly those who are vaccinated. We have some big decisions to make after the president's announcement yesterday, because you know, in Delaware, about 50% of folks have at least one dose. We just don't know which 50%. All right. The response would be, well, if you're vaccinated, you don't have to worry about the other 50%. So we'll be working with all of that. I couldn't be happier to be here with all of you today for this incredible project, which has really stretched through my whole career in public service, I think. when I was there at the beginning, when I think we ought to call him the grandfather of the Riverfront, former Governor Peterson, with President of University Trabant, came up with a vision for the rivers, some of which is part of what we see today, most of which is not, but it was a vision. There was only really one person in the state who I call the father of the Riverfront, and that was then Governor Tom CARPER, who embraced that vision, as only Tom CARPER could do, enthusiastically. I was his deputy chief of staff at the time, so I did what he told me to do. There were others who won't go name, Secretary Bullock, who weren't believers. And we thought, well, if we get something in addition to the Blue Rocks, you know, that would be cool. And if we're able to clean up the riverfront, that would be nice too. Nobody, except probably this guy, and that guy and his team, Megan and Mike and others, and frankly, all of you. A lot of members of the board are here. A lot of professionals who've done the engineering and architectural work, who've made the investments to make this happen. And for me, what it says is you can dream big and you can do great things in dreaming big. And it benefits everybody. That was the other thing that, you know, it's just going to benefit business folks and folks that don't live in the city. Let me just tell you how important the employment here is on the riverfront. I don't know, 2,000, 6,000, good Lord. And everybody said, you're not going to be able to build a river walk. You're not going to have housing down there. You're not, all the things, you're not going to be able to do all these different things. Senator CARPER, they did them all. They did them all. And we're going to do more. And then it was, we did that side of the river, but we can't do this side of the river for the reasons that the mayor talked about. Well, guess what? We're going to do this. They also said, we're not going to have a grocery store close to the city of Wilmington, and the people who live in those neighborhoods, a great benefit. 76ers Fieldhouse. For a small state investment, we have an incredible facility. By the way, my bottom line with Rob Buccini and his team, I want my children in the city of Wilmington to benefit as much as anybody else does, and guess what? They do. And that's an incredible thing. When we cut the ribbon on the Margaret Rose Henry Bridge, which was just the perfect person to name that bridge after, because Margaret Rose, Senator Margaret Rose, has been a bridge among communities and projects for years. And I first went over that day. It just became very clear to me that with this bridge here and all the energy, and by the way, state, city, and probably some county investment, and a vision will make it possible. And so I couldn't be happier to be here with the two fathers and the mother, I guess, of the riverfront. And with all of you, frankly, the members of the board and all the professionals have made this possible. It does prove that we can do big things in our state. If we have a vision, if we work together, everybody's pulling in the same direction. This riverfront has multi-million dollars of public investment. One of the things we learned the first year that I was your governor from site selectors who deal with businesses all across the country was you have to have sites ready to go to bring new employers to our state. Everybody knows this. Linda knows it. We're doing it in Kent County. And this is what this is all about. Having sites ready to go for employers, creating an asset that we can all enjoy in the city of Wilmington, an asset that creates tax revenue to support so much of the good work that the mayor and his team does. So to all of you who make it happen, thank you so very much, and God bless you. And by beginning of next week, we will have some kind of assessment of what to do with what the president said last night about taking off the mask. But right now, you're good to take it off or leave it on.
Thank you, Governor. So now I'd like to invite the governor and the mayor back up. We're going to do a unveiling. Can I have you come up? Mayor, you're going to be on the end here. Governor, you're going to come up here on the end, this side. Just wait. You can. So just hold until we're ready. Okay. So what Governor CARNEY Yeah. So what Governor Carney and Mayor PURZYCKI will reveal to you momentarily is the result of ongoing planning, strategizing, and implementing since the summer of 2016. So we'll start with the look for the entire Riverfront East. So Governor Carney, will you do the honors? So as we celebrate the near completion of Riverfront West, it's the perfect time to turn our attentions east and the next big vision on our horizon. Energized by the success realized over the past 25 years, we are excited to continue the revitalization of what you see here, 86 acres along the east side of the Christina River. The RDC has acquired several key parcels of land needed for the project, and we're working with the Department of Natural Resources and Environmental Control on a plan to clean up every acre, just as we did with Riverfront West. This way, as the governor mentioned, once potential developers are vetted and approved, the land will be ready for them to get to work in creating the spaces and opportunities we envision. Riverfront East is designed to integrate all the key elements to support a thriving, sustainable community that is both practical for everyday living and inviting to visitors looking for a special experience. Everything will come together to create the ultimate environment for everyone to live, work, and play. As I mentioned, the total space in Riverfront East is 86 acres, and we have proposed in this plan office space of 1.9 million square feet, over 4,000 residential units, 350,000 square feet of retail space, almost 9,000 structured parking spaces, and 650 on-street parking spaces, and open space and common areas for recreation and entertainment of just over 13 acres. As you can see, central to Riverfront East is the Senator Margaret Rose Henry Bridge. Pedestrians and cyclists will also be able to easily cross from west to east. Our ultimate vision is to create one unified and fully accessible Wilmington Riverfront community. Like Riverfront West, there's an evolving master plan for Riverfront East. All along the way, we will invest in projects that upon completion will open up new and immediate services and opportunities to enhance the way people live, work, and play in Wilmington. So with that said, we're excited to not only reveal this master plan, but also announce that we are getting ready to start phase 1 of Riverfront East development. So Mr. Mayor, will you do the honors? So what you see here is an overview of phase 1 of Riverfront East, which we will begin this summer. Phase 1 is a combination Right. So phase 1 is a combination of public infrastructure projects that incorporate roadways, a riverwalk, parking, and the creation of public areas. Upon completion, we will have everything in place to make all the opportunities of Riverfront East more accessible and safer for auto, pedestrian, and bike traffic, as well as mass transit. Construction in phase 1 will include traffic calming roadway updates, walkways, and bike paths that optimize accessibility to downtown Wilmington, as well as our major arteries of I-95 and 495, mass transit buses, shuttles, Amtrak, and SEPTA, the Wilmington-Newcastle Airport, and then, of course, right across the bridge, Riverfront West. As I mentioned, the phase will include construction of street-level parking, and we also have allocated several acres of open space and public common areas, including 3,500 linear feet of riverwalk along the river. So our plans for the open space and greenways include a central green space, smaller neighborhood parks, plenty of nature play areas, dog parks, walking paths, and bike paths. Our team has really thought of everything to ensure that this is an attractive, vibrant, sustainable, and ecologically responsible development. Everything from wetlands and planning strategies to stormwater management. So cost-wise, we anticipate phase 1 infrastructure to cost around $30 million. The state, through DelDOT's capital budget, has jump-started the process with a $20 million allocation. We expect to create 179 new jobs in the construction of phase 1. And the anticipated completion date is year-end 2023. So Governor and Mayor, thank you. And so now it's my pleasure to welcome to the podium, as the Governor said, the father of the Riverfront, Senator Tom CARPER.
Thank you very much, Megan. Harry Truman once said, the only thing new in the world is the history we forgot or never learned. Think about that. Only thing new in the world is the history we forgot or never learned. I just want to share with you just a little bit of history, which Michael helped to write, John Megan, Mike Hare, a bunch of other folks that are here in this room today. Mike Castle actually had a hand in this when he was governor. He took his right hand and he signed a joint resolution passed by the legislature at the end of 1992, his last year as governor. And that resolution called for creating a working group to come down and look at this river, the riverfront, Christina, also the Brandywine, and to try to figure out what, if anything, we could do to make something of them. And about 6 months later, I was a new governor. I was up to my eyeballs, as Jeff Bullock will recall, up to my eyeballs in all kinds of problems. And a guy named Russ Peterson, wonderful guy named Russ Peterson, been our governor, and former president of the University of Delaware, Trabant, came to see me my first 6 months as governor. Jeff may remember this, John may remember this. And they said, we were named in a joint resolution to lead an effort to figure out what to do with the riverfronts, and the Christina River and the Brandywine, and said, we just came to tell you we're not ready to report. And I said, don't worry, I've got enough other things to worry about. And I said, come back when you're ready. And I didn't think I'd ever see him again. 6 months later, I did. And Matt, they came back, Michelle, they came back, and they had in posters about twice the size of these, just an incredible vision of what an industrial wasteland could be transformed to look like our riverfront today. And I'll never forget, I was blown away with it. John may remember this, Jeff may remember this, Ann Canby may remember this, she's our Secretary of Transportation. And I said to former Governor Peterson, I said, this is amazing, I love this. I said, who's going to do this? He said, you are. And I said, why me? He said, you're the governor. And this is what governors do. And this is not what governors do by themselves. But this is what governors do with a lot of other people. Not just their cabinet, not just the legislature, not just the mayor and the county executive, and not just the folks in the private sector, but all of us working together. All of us working together. And I did call another former governor, and it's a former governor down in Maryland, William Donald Schaefer. Some of you may remember Maryland, Baltimore used to be a mess. And he led the effort to transform Inner Harbor and make it something that Baltimore and Maryland could be proud of. I asked him if he'd come up, I was a new governor, and just getting to know him. I asked him if he'd come up, he's recently retired, and said, since you're not doing anything, Governor Schaefer, how about coming up and walking the riverfront with me? I told him about this idea. And he came up, and we walked the riverfront on the other side of the river from the train station on down past where the baseball stadium is. It didn't look anything like it does today. And I said, what do you think, Governor? And he said, this could work. Those were his words. He said, this could work. And I said, give me some idea how to make sure that it works. And he said, create a group, like an oversight group, call it what you want, Riverfront Development Corporation. Make sure you have on there the leaders of the city, the county, the legislature, the private community, and you lead it. Be very much involved, hands-on. And that's really what we did. And we got wonderful people to contribute and to serve on the Riverfront Development Board. Some of them are here today. Peggy, would you stand up? I think I saw Desmond. Just stand up. If you're a current or former member, thank you, thank you, thank you. Governor mentioned Roger Roy. I think the mayor mentioned Roger Roy, co-chair of the joint, the committee on, which really does capital projects. We call them the bond bill committee, but capital projects, including construction, including stuff like this. Patty Blevins, one a Republican and one a Democrat. And they led the way so that we got a funding. I think my time as governor, correct me if I'm wrong, John, I think something like $80 million something went, just from the state, went into this. $80 million, which for a little state is no small sum. And one of the other things that Governor Schaefer said to me, he said, find somebody, or several somebodies, to serve and to be the full-time staff. You can't just have a great board for this Riverfront Development Corporation. Have to have terrific staff. And he said, find a handful of people just to help lead that effort on a daily basis. And we found Mike PURZYCKI, we found Meyer, and then we found Megan. And give them a round of applause again. I mean, this wouldn't happen without it. Ideas are a dime a dozen, you know that. And it takes just hard work of a lot of people and a lot of collaboration to make it happen. I'll close with this. Some of you heard me tell this story before, but I love telling this story. if you drive around the state of Delaware, you won't find anything named after me. And I've been elected statewide 14 times. I think that's more than anybody in Delaware history. But my wife says to me all the time, she is just like eaten alive, Peggy, because there's nothing named after me. She said to me last month, she said, they ought to name the Dover Air Force Base after you. I said, honey, I'm a Navy guy. That's the Air Force. That won't work. She said, I don't know what you want on your tombstone. I don't even know what you want on your tombstone. And we were driving by the other day by a cemetery, stopped at the traffic light, and she said, what do you want? Where do you want to be buried? I said, I don't know. I'm doing fine. I still run miles. She said, well, what do you want on your tombstone? I worked forever on postal issues, forever on postal issues. I said, how about return to sender? And she's still, she's in North Carolina. We talked last night. She's down there visiting her sisters, Michael. And I said, what are you doing down there? She said, I'm trying to think what we can name after you. I said, get over it. Get over it. There is something named after me. And some of you heard me say this before. There is a combined water sewer overflow under the city of Wilmington that is mine. That is mine. So Matt and Meyer, keep your hands off of my combined water sewer overflow. For everybody who's had a hand in getting us this far, we've laid a good foundation. And Megan, you've taken a hand off from Michael and carrying it. I'm so proud of you and the work that you're doing. Where's your husband? I think I see him out there. Thank you for sharing with us. A very, very good man. Nice round of applause. And finally, I would add, I don't know whose words these are, but somebody very wise once said, it doesn't matter it doesn't matter who gets the credit. The important thing is to get stuff done. And there's no mother for this. There's no father for this. There's no grandfather or grandmother. I mean, there's just a hell of a lot of wonderful people who work like the devil to make something that's really heavenly. And now we're about to go off to stage 2, next stage, and we're just can't wait until it's done. Thank you all so much. God bless you. Thank you. Congratulations. And last thing I want to say, I was governor for, as John remembers, Jeff remembers, and Cammy was a huge part of this, as Secretary of Transport, huge part of this. But I was governor 8 good years. It was easy, relatively easy to be governor. John CARNEY has been governor in a really hard time. And I just want to say thank you, John CARNEY, for leading us through maybe one of the toughest years that anybody can be governor in the history of the state of Delaware, and making us proud. Thank you, John.
Thank you, Senator. Now it's my pleasure to introduce our county executive, Newcastle County, Matt Meyer.
Good morning. It's an honor to be here. Megan, great job with the weather. This is always the weather here in Newcastle County for anyone visiting. It's really an honor to be here, a little bit humbling to be here with Governor CARNEY, Mayor PURZYCKI, Megan, Senator and former Governor CARPER, to speak after each of you who really spent significant parts of your lives making this dream come true, hearing your amazing stories. I'm a little concerned if I stand up and tell my Kahunaville and Red Room stories to my staff. So especially with the police chief back there, I got to be careful. But it's truly an honor to be here, and in many ways, like so many residents of this city, county, and state, be recipients of the tremendous selfless work, not only of those up here who spoke, but also so many of you with us today, many of you watching online who I know have spent significant parts of your career remediating soils that were harmful to our community, making sure our river is clean, making sure beautiful buildings, baseball, basketball, soccer fields are built, and built with excellence, something that we now, all of us here in this community and the entire region, are proud of. Even if I remember correctly, a Democratic National Convention was held right here in this riverfront. I don't think President Trabant and the former Governor Peterson could have ever imagined that. Many of you here who are in the private sector know that we talk about the triple bottom line in the private sector these days. There's people, there's planet, and there's profit. And I often think about that in government as well. We need to take care of people. We need to make sure we're sustaining our environment and our land, air, and water is thriving into the future. And we got to make sure there's profit. We got to make sure there's an investment engine to continue to fuel our present and our future. And when I come down to the riverfront, more often than not, I'm really focused on the planet these days. A few weeks ago, I was at a tree planting right beside the Environmental Education Center, and I see Annie Ann from the Delaware Nature Society is here. Ann Harper, thank you, from the Delaware Nature Society. And as we were planting trees, and we do quite a lot of tree planting, you dig about 6 inches into the soil here, and you hit all sorts of stuff. All sorts of stuff. And you wonder, should we even be, are we actually doing anything good for the environment by digging into this soil? But it's a history and a reminder that this once was, when I was a kid growing up here, something of an embarrassment, an environmental liability. Also a history of a time when we had a tremendous shipbuilding industry, 120,000 people living here in Wilmington. A sad history of a city, as Mayor PURZYCKI articulated, that did not grow and began to decline. And thanks to the vision of these individuals up here and the hard work of Megan, Mike Hare, and so many who have and are currently working at the Riverfront Development Corporation, we've taken not only a terrible liability, but something, we've turned a horrendous liability into an opportunity, something that we are all proud of, so that we look at this and no one questions you today on the east side of the riverfront, I think the way so many questioned the west side decades ago. So thank you so much for your leadership at a time when, in particular, we're talking about silver linings. We're talking about looking at a horrendous event and turning it into a tremendous opportunity for all of us. Let's look at this as a tremendous lesson from which we all can learn. Thank you. I'll do it. I almost forgot. I'm very fortunate not only to be here with my senator, my governor, and my mayor, but with my city council person from the 4th District of the city of Wilmington, Michelle HARLEE.
Thank you, Matt. So good morning, everyone. Good morning. As Matt said, I'm Michelle HARLEE, and I represent the 4th Councilmatic District, in my opinion, which is one of the most dynamic districts in the city of Wilmington. When I first started as city council member, I made a promise to my constituents to work with everyone to move the 4th District and the city of Wilmington forward. I cannot think of a more appropriate contemporary demonstration of this than the Riverfront East. Economically, socially, environmentally, the Riverfront East is indeed moving the 4th District and the city of Wilmington forward. My mission is to be a champion of innovations that foster neighborhood connectivity and that attract people from far and wide to experience how vibrant and opportunity-laden Wilmington is. For me, Riverfront East really checks all the critical boxes. 1, access and equal opportunity. Every element in the planning and development of Riverfront East focuses on ensuring that its opportunities and experiences are valuable and accessible to all, creating a diverse offering of resources and services that support everyone's desires to live, work, and play to the fullest. No one was uprooted to make this project happen, but thousands of people will now have new and exciting places for residential living. 2, family-centric, from playgrounds and parks to entertainment and more, Riverfront East will be a place for togetherness and quality time. And lastly, longevity. Even at this early stage, it is evident that Riverfront East will be a place that is comfortable as well as constant and fluid, inherently offering the level of excitement that keeps work and play here fresh and attracting visitors again and again. Riverfront East exemplifies how to do these things the right way. I have no doubt that people of today and for generations to come will have a place for enjoying nature, having new and invigorating experiences, and pursuing opportunities that may never have envisioned. So thank you for inviting me today, Megan, and kudos to all those that have come before me. And at this time, I will turn it over to Megan. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Harley. So one of our major partners in Riverfront East is the Delaware Department of Transportation. Unfortunately, due to a previous commitment, Secretary Nicole Majeski wasn't able to join us, but she did ask me to reiterate DelDOT's commitment to remaining fully involved in the development and growth of Riverfront East and to ensuring that every consideration for traffic, pedestrian, and bicycle safety and convenience will remain a top priority for the community we build here. I personally have no doubt about this because from day one, DelDOT has been an incredible partner with the RDC and the City of Wilmington. We are all very excited to get started on the roadway and other infrastructure upgrades with DelDOT right by our side. So before concluding the program, I just want to thank all of our speakers who were here today, and again, all the partners that I introduced earlier. So please just join me in one additional round of applause for everyone here. So lastly, I'd like to thank the RDC Board of Directors. A few of them stood up before, so thank you so much, led by our chairwoman, Peggy Strine. Secretary of State, Jeff Bullock, and Deputy Secretary Chris Knight. They both have been huge champions of this project since we kicked that off, as well as Jeff Flynn from the City of Wilmington's Economic Development Office. Members of the General Assembly, I think a few of them I saw here today, Representative Frank Cook, whose district actually Riverfront East is located, as well as Representative Mike Smith. Several members of Wilmington City Council are here. Councilwoman Rashima Dixon, Brigida Fields, Maria Cabrera, as well as Councilman James Spadola. So thank you for being here. Just want to also thank the incredible team at A, B, and C who are assisting us with this launch, so they've been great to work with. And then finally, my amazing staff at the RDC, led by our marketing manager, Joe Valenti, who's been working behind the scenes to pull everything together. So thank you so much, all of you. So it's been an exciting journey since the summer of 2016 when we first started to explore the idea of Riverfront East with our key stakeholders. So now, standing here on May 14th, 2021, we have literally and figuratively laid all the groundwork, and now it's time to get building. So we can't wait to get started on all the phase 1 projects that we talked about earlier. And as this is happening, the RDC will continue to restore the land so that all parcels are safe for public use and ready for development. In addition, we will start working with in-state and out-of-state developers who best fit our vision for the present and future of Wilmington. With them, we will strike the right balance of retail, dining, entertainment, residential, and office space to support living here, as well as to establish a unique destination that will attract and encourage repeat visits from people around the country. As you have heard through our time together today, Riverfront East is an evolving project. So just one final announcement, I invite you to check out our new Riverfront East website. It's riverfronteast.com. Shocker. So this will be a hub for us to keep the community updated on the progress of the project, as well as provide new opportunities as they arise. So we also plan to use this site to continually engage our community in the planning and to get their feedback. So with that, I conclude the formal portion of our launch event. I invite members of the media to come up, take photos or videos of our renderings, and Joe and I, as well as several of our partners, are available to answer any questions, so please feel free to ask. And thank you all so much for coming.